It is said that, at the end of time, a leader will emerge capable of uniting all the world's nations and promoting a single government. This man will be seen as a savior, someone who will bring order to chaos, a figure who will emerge in the midst of global disorder with a message of peace, unity, and progress. He will be able to resolve seemingly insoluble crises and will have the support of leaders and influential people from various parts of the world. This leader will be a symbol of hope for many, with the promise that, finally, humanity will find the much-desired peace and stability. He will be a leader loved by all before the coming of Jesus Christ. His ability to win hearts and minds will be one of his greatest weapons. He will be charismatic, eloquent, and have a global influence never seen before. The masses will follow him blindly, believing that he is the solution to all of humanity's problems. Before Christ returns, he will reign with authority, and his rule will be praised as an example of perfection and righteousness. However, your true nature will be hidden by this veil of goodness. But make no mistake, the Antichrist will reveal himself. In the end, his true face will come to light. The one who seemed to be the redeemer of humanity, the one who seemed to bring definitive peace, will show that everything was just a great illusion. Their true mission will be deception, control, and destruction. He will bring much pain and suffering to those who remain, and the world will be thrown into a period of darkness and chaos like never before experienced. What seemed to be the beginning of a new era of prosperity and unity will quickly become a global nightmare. Some theories say that he is already roaming among us. Conspiracyists claim that prominent figures on the global stage may already be playing this role. They believe that the signs are everywhere, and that the Antichrist may be in a position of power right now, waiting for the right moment to reveal his plan. Names like Emmanuel Macron and Elon Musk are often cited by conspiracy theorists as possible candidates. In today's video, we'll dive into the most popular theories and see who the possible candidates for the role of Antichrist are. We'll explore the characteristics of these figures, their connections to global events, and the reasons why so many people believe we are living in the moments that precede the fulfillment of these prophecies. It's time to analyze the signs, put the pieces together, and try to understand if the Antichrist is already among us, waiting for the right moment to take control. The name of Emmanuel Jean-Michel Frédéric Macron appears in several theories and discussions. Macron is the controversial president of one of the world's greatest powers, France, and as the leader of a globally influential nation, he attracts both admiration and controversy. There are videos and theories spread across the internet that suggest he could be the Antichrist. However, I think this is very unlikely, and I explain why. Firstly, Macron is a highly polarizing figure. Hated by many, his popularity fluctuates drastically, both within France and on the international stage. No matter the political side, his charisma is often described as cold and distant, almost lifeless. As I often joke, his charisma is comparable to that of a door. And this is a problem if we think that the Antichrist, according to biblical prophecies, will be an extremely charismatic figure, capable of uniting nations, captivating crowds, and deceiving even the most skeptical. This does not appear to be the case with Macron, who often faces resistance and harsh criticism, both for his political stance and his leadership style. According to the scriptures, the Antichrist will not act alone. He will be accompanied by a figure known as the false prophet, a world religious leader who will preach a speech of peace and unity. This duo will be responsible for unifying nations and leading a false era of world peace. And honestly, Macron doesn't seem to have the necessary qualities to fulfill this role. He may be influential, but he does not have the profile of someone who could lead a global union, especially when we consider his difficulties in maintaining a solid base of support, even in his own country. The idea that he could be this powerful, unifying figure, capable of controlling global destiny, is difficult to imagine. Now, the main points supporting the theory that Emmanuel Macron could be the Antichrist are, in large part based on the fact that many believe that the Antichrist will emerge from the political milieu. And as Macron is president of one of the world's greatest political and economic powers, France, he certainly has the means and access to play a central role in any major global event. This makes it a relevant name for theories of this type. He has already held the position of president for 2 terms, which reinforces his presence on the international scene. Another frequently mentioned point is the fact that he likes to appear in the media with his controversial statements and attempts to seal political and social discussions. His speeches often resonate with global themes such as climate change, international politics, and European unity, which for some is an indication that he could be constructing a globalist narrative. Those who believe that the Antichrist will be a political figure capable of promoting a world government often see Macron as someone who could be on that path. Furthermore, during his speech after the election victory over Marine Le Pen, he made an interesting statement. "From now on, I am no longer the candidate of one side, but the president of all." To some, this may sound like a call for unity, something the Antichrist is supposed to do by winning over the masses. Another frequently mentioned aspect is his wife, Brigitte Macron, who is significantly older than him and, for many conspiracists, has an aura of mystery. Some even call her a witch priestess, which only fuels more theories. She was Macron's teacher, and the age difference between them sparks speculation about their relationship and the role she could play. Of course, this has no direct bearing on the Antichrist's prophecies, but it's the kind of detail that conspiracy theorists love to explore. Now, the main point that always comes up when talking about Emmanuel Macron is the meaning of his name. For those who don't know, Emmanuel means God with us in Hebrew, which for many is too heavy a coincidence to ignore. After all, how could someone with a name so full of biblical symbolism not arouse suspicion? The surname Macron also enters the discussions, but it is his first name that really catches the attention of theorists. Some people believe that the Antichrist will try to imitate Christ by deceiving the masses with promises of redemption and peace, and having a name that means God with us could be part of this deception strategy. Could it be a coincidence? Many believe not. Even if Macron's behavior or level of charisma does not seem to align with expectations of an Antichrist leader, it is difficult for some to ignore the symbolism involved in his name. However, despite these theories, I still consider Macron to be the most unlikely of candidates. His involvement in world politics is significant, but his personal characteristics and his polarization within his own country make him seem unsuitable for the role described in the prophecies. The Antichrist, according to Scripture, will be loved and followed by many before he reveals his true nature. And Macron, so far, has not demonstrated that kind of global magnetism. So that you can understand more clearly and quickly the signs that surround us in challenging times like the ones we are living in, it is essential to be aware of the prophecies that are being fulfilled. Many still don't realize the magnitude of what is happening around us, and that's why I decided to offer something special to all channel subscribers. An exclusive digital ebook titled The Secret Behind the Holy Bible. This book is an unmissable opportunity to access impactful revelations about biblical prophecies that will open your eyes to current reality. Don't let this unique chance pass you by. The knowledge contained in this ebook could change the way you see events around you. The process to get your gift is quick and simple. Just click on the link available in the first pinned comment to download it immediately. But be careful, we only have a few units available, and they are running out quickly. Don't delay your decision. Guarantee your copy now before the ebook is taken down. Take advantage of this exclusive opportunity and be prepared for what's to come. Jared Kushner. We went from least likely to most likely. For many, billionaire Jared Kushner, heir to an empire and son-in-law of Donald Trump, is one of the names most frequently mentioned as a candidate for the title of Antichrist. His figure is shrouded in controversy, power, and, for some, mystery. Kushner has already been the subject of many debates and theories, and for good reason. With his direct involvement in global politics and his central role in important international agreements, he seems to fit many of the Bible's apocalyptic descriptions of the Antichrist. In our previous videos, we have already covered Kushner's career in detail, and here is just a summary to orient those who are not so familiar with the subject. If you want a deeper analysis, you can check out the full content on the channel. Jared Kushner is not just a billionaire heir. He is a strategist who occupies a delicate position on the global chessboard. Son-in-law of the former President of the United States, Donald Trump, he has all the characteristics that could make him a strong candidate for the title of Antichrist, if we follow the traditional descriptions of the scriptures. He is directly involved in world politics, playing important roles behind the scenes and influencing decisions of great international impact. Furthermore, Kushner comes from a Jewish family, which for some biblical prophecy scholars is a crucial point, as many believe that the Antichrist will have an origin that allows for an intimate relationship with Israel. He is also highly regarded by several influential political and economic figures, which further reinforces his prominent global position. We are not talking about someone who only works in the corporate world, but a figure who moves freely between the political, religious, and economic spheres. One of the most discussed points about Jared Kushner is the fact that he has shown interest in rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem. This is significant because many prophecies mention the rebuilding of the temple as one of the events that will precede the reign of the Antichrist. Kushner, when signing the historic peace agreement between Israel and some Arab countries during Donald Trump's term, was one of the architects of this diplomatic reconciliation. Peace between Israel and its enemies is something that the Bible highlights as one of the signs of the times. For many, the Antichrist will be the one who initially brings false peace to the world, especially in the Middle East, before revealing himself as the great deceiver. Many ask me, who is the Antichrist? And I always say, look at who is proposing peace agreements in areas of great conflict. The relationship between Israel and several Arab countries improved significantly because of this peace treaty, and Jared Kushner was the key figure in making this happen. He was the mediator who managed to unite parties that had been in conflict for decades. This is not something that can be ignored, especially when taking into consideration the role that Scripture ascribes to the Antichrist, as someone who will bring about an initial period of world peace before showing his true nature. Another interesting point is that in this war between Israel and the terrorist group Hamas, Arab countries have adopted a more restrained stance, not getting directly involved in the conflict as they used to do on other occasions. This may be a reflection of this peace agreement, whose implications are still being felt. Kushner has demonstrated that he is a figure with the ability to influence both sides, something rare and very valuable on the global political scene. He has access to both Israeli leaders and influential figures in Arab countries, a mediation power that few possess. And if all this wasn't enough to raise suspicions, there is still a curious fact that is always mentioned by conspiracists. Kushner bought a building on Fifth Avenue in New York, one of the most important places in the world, and the number of that building is nothing less than 6666. This number, of course, is emblematic in the scriptures, being the famous number of the beast, directly associated with the Antichrist. Coincidence? Many believe not. It's just another detail that adds to the various coincidences and theories surrounding the figure of Jared Kushner. Although the number 6666 in itself is not concrete proof of anything, it further fuels the fascination and theories that surround Kushner. The building on Fifth Avenue, located in one of the most prestigious regions in the world, is a symbol of power, wealth, and influence, which only helps to strengthen the narrative that it could be the long-awaited Antichrist. For those who believe in prophetic coincidences, this is just another point to consider. Jared Kushner also has other coincidences in his record, which for many go beyond simple chance. His ability to mediate conflicts, his origin, his connection with Israel, and his interest in rebuilding the temple in Jerusalem place him at the center of theories about the end of times. Whether he is the Antichrist or not remains an open question, but the elements surrounding his trajectory are enough to make him one of the strongest candidates, according to conspiracists and biblical prophecy scholars. If you want to know more details about Jared Kushner and the coincidences that surround him, check out our full video about him on the channel. The discussion is just beginning. Elon Musk. Of course, we will expand the requested excerpt, maintaining the depth and clarity of the original. Of course, the most famous billionaire of recent times, Elon Musk, could not be left out of this list. The South African, owner of giants such as Tesla and SpaceX, is a figure who attracts both fascination and controversy. Musk is known for his eccentric and often self-centered style, and his tendency to get involved in global issues ranging from global warming to free speech. If there's an important debate going on in the world, Musk is usually at the center of it, and where there's a problem, he chimes in. This makes many see him not only as a visionary, but also as someone who, due to his global ambitions, could be a candidate for the Antichrist. Now you may be thinking, but isn't he in politics? And shouldn't the Antichrist emerge from politics? This is a common doubt, but power is not limited to the halls of government. And that's where Elon Musk comes in. He may not be a traditional politician, but someone with the level of influence and wealth he has always ends up getting involved, in some way, in global politics. Its power transcends formal politics. He is already an active player on the international scene, dictating trends and, often, directly influencing the politics of different countries through his companies, ideas, and innovations. Musk has even described himself politically as a mix between Democrat and Republican, which demonstrates his ability to navigate between different ideologies without limiting himself to a particular vision. There is nothing more political than that. His ability to move between different sectors of society, economy, and politics gives him a unique power, often invisible to those who only look at the superficial scenario. This master of capitalism may not be the most beloved public figure in the world, but there is no denying that his financial power and capacity for innovation are gigantic. And this power is so great that it could, indeed, unite nations in a way that would not depend on traditional politics. In an increasingly digital, technological, and interconnected world, control over technology can translate into control over the very destiny of nations. Let's talk about satellites. With his cutting-edge technology companies, such as SpaceX, Musk has at his disposal a satellite network larger than that of many countries in the world. Alone, he has more satellites orbiting the Earth than entire nations. These satellites, for example, control the GPS, and the GPS, in turn, controls the world. Banks, navigation systems, airline routes, even the weather forecast. All of these depend on satellites and the global positioning system. Imagine what would happen if someone with control of these satellites decided to use this technology for nefarious purposes, or to manipulate the world in ways that had never been done before. This is immeasurable power in the hands of a single person. And it doesn't stop there. Musk's idea of implanting chips in people through his company Neuralink is something that raises many eyebrows, especially among those who believe in apocalyptic theories. For those who fear the emergence of the Antichrist, this initiative by Musk is seen as one of the signs that he could be an evil envoy, trying to control humanity from the inside out. The chip in the brain could, in theory, allow absolute control over people's actions, thoughts, and even emotions, a level of control unprecedented in human history. This type of technology is a big deal for those who believe that the Antichrist will use advanced tools to dominate the Earth. If this seems like an exaggeration, just remember that Elon Musk already controls a significant part of the global economy through his companies, such as Tesla, which is revolutionizing the automotive and energy industries, and SpaceX, which is redefining space exploration and telecommunications. Now, imagine a situation where he also controls people's minds with chips, control the skies with your satellites, controls economic actions with its cutting-edge technologies, and then he would control people's insides, literally, with his neural implants. We are talking about absolute and unimaginable power. Complete control of people's exterior and interior would be something few could even question. And the scriptures even say that, during the government of the Antichrist, people will begin to believe that, because everything is going well, they will no longer need God, which will lead to a decrease in faith. With the advanced technological innovations that Musk proposes, there could be a time when humanity feels so self-sufficient, so supported by science and technology, that the idea of depending on God becomes obsolete. Faith would, in fact, be shaken by a world where man, with the help of figures like Musk, would believe he was capable of solving all problems with technology. Even though Musk has stated in interviews that he likes to think there is a God and that he believes in the possibility of something after death, he has also made it clear that he leans more towards science than towards science. Side of faith. This scientific and rationalist stance is one of the points that leads some people to see him as a figure who, although not necessarily the Antichrist, may be playing an important role in the decline of global faith. So, is Elon Musk the Antichrist? Honestly, I find it difficult, but one thing is certain: his desire to dominate the world, whether through economics, technology, or even mind control, is something that cannot be ignored. And as he continues to push forward with his innovations, the world watches, wondering how far he's willing to go. Donald Trump. Speaking of loved ones, look who's last on the list. Donald Trump. The former president of the United States is one of the most polarizing and influential figures in the contemporary world. He is the typical character that leaves no one indifferent, loved fervently by millions, and hated with equal intensity by many others. Trump is a figure whose presence transcends politics, reaching the status of cultural icon and symbol of an era, bringing together characteristics of the three other candidates I have already mentioned. His trajectory, marked by business success and meteoric rise on the political scene, positions him as one of the most relevant names in the global context. Trump, with his economic and political power, is a true titan. It is no wonder that many believe that he could return to being the leader of the greatest nation in the world, the United States. With a very strong personality and peculiar charisma, he manages to move crowds, influence elections, and shape the international scenario. His return to the political scene is always a possibility that generates heated discussions, and this makes him even more enigmatic. Furthermore, Donald Trump has a detail that cannot be ignored: his influence on peace negotiations in the Middle East. Like his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, he played a key role in the peace treaty between Israel and some Arab countries, something that is often mentioned in discussions about the role of the Antichrist. The Bible talks about a peace agreement that would be made by the Antichrist at the end of time, which raises questions about Trump's involvement in this delicate issue. Could he be the precursor of something bigger and darker? And we cannot fail to mention the famous episode in which Trump, in one of his characteristic moments of exaltation, looked at the sun and declared, "I am the chosen one." Many saw this as a metaphor for his self-confidence, while others saw signs of something much deeper, a kind of self-proclaimed messianism. In any case, this phrase generated repercussions throughout the world, fueling both its admirers and its critics. After all, who calls themselves the chosen one in broad daylight and in front of the cameras? Donald Trump's relationship with Israel and Jewish leaders is also something worth noting. He has been to West Jerusalem on several occasions and has always maintained a good relationship with the local authorities. This is significant, considering that many believe that the Antichrist will have a special bond with this region, given its importance in the prophetic scenario. This fact, combined with the global impact of his actions, causes some to believe that he may be the much-feared Antichrist. There are those who say that he meets many of the requirements set out in the scriptures: a powerful, charismatic figure with global influence, capable of uniting nations, and at the same time deeply dividing opinions. Although many people believe that Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, could be the Antichrist, perhaps he is more for Trump than Jared. After all, the Bible mentions that the Antichrist will be someone with a big mouth, and Trump, known for his blunt, unfiltered, and often provocative speeches, fits this description perfectly. Furthermore, the scriptures indicate that the Antichrist will be someone who does not respect women, and Trump's record, involving several comments and controversies in this regard, ends up raising even more suspicions. If this is still not enough to arouse curiosity, let us remember a curious and almost surreal fact. A commercial in Japan that proclaimed that only Donald Trump would be the president of the world. Now you might think, coincidence? Just another marketing prank? Perhaps. But for conspiracists on duty, this type of detail is seen as a possible indication of something bigger, something that is being prepared in the shadows and just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself to the world. The question that remains is, could Trump, with all these characteristics and his role on the international stage, really be the Antichrist? Or is he just a larger-than-life figure whose personality and influence are misinterpreted? Coincidences like this continue to arise, and it is up to each of us to interpret the signs as we see fit. Before continuing the video, an important message. Don't forget to secure your copy of our exclusive book. It is available in the first pinned comment of this video. Take advantage of this unique opportunity. Throughout history, several prominent figures have been associated with the Antichrist, fueling conspiracy theories and speculation about the end times. One of the first names to appear on this list was that of Nero, the first-century Roman emperor, who was known for his brutal persecution of Christians. Nero's cruelty and the destruction of Rome under his reign placed him at the center of apocalyptic interpretations, being seen as an early personification of the Antichrist. Centuries later, during the Napoleonic Wars, Napoleon Bonaparte was also associated with the Antichrist. His inordinate ambition to conquer Europe and his relentless attacks on established monarchies have caused some to consider him a threat to the global balance, a figure who could be fulfilling a prophetic role of destruction and chaos. The 20th century brought two of the most frequently cited names in theories about the Antichrist, Adolf Hitler and a Joseph Stalin. Hitler, with his Nazi ideology, persecution of the Jews, and attempt to conquer the world, was widely seen as an obvious candidate for the title of Antichrist. His ability to manipulate the masses and the horror of the Holocaust reinforced this view in many minds. Similarly, Stalin, with his regime of terror in the Soviet Union responsible for millions of deaths and brutal repression, was seen as a shadowy figure who personified evil and destruction on a global scale. In the 1980s, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev was surprisingly associated with the Antichrist by some conspiracy theories. The famous birthmark on his head has led some people to speculate that it could be the mark of the beast mentioned in Revelation. The period of great change he brought about with glasnost and perestroika also contributed to him being seen as someone involved in significant global events. In the United States, former President Ronald Reagan was also the target of speculation. Interestingly, the fact that his full name, Ronald Wilson Reagan, contains 6 letters in each part, resulting in the number 6666, has caused some religious sects to associate him with the Antichrist. Although this theory has not gained much support, it exemplifies how powerful and popular figures can be targets of such speculation. More recently, during the presidency of Barack Obama, theories emerged that pointed to him as the Antichrist. His meteoric rise to the presidency, his global charisma, and the great changes he brought to American politics generated distrust among some more conservative sectors, who saw him as a potential world leader who could align himself with the apocalyptic figure. In Europe, the British Prince Charles was also the target of theories that associate him with the Antichrist. His position in the British monarchy and his involvement with global issues, especially environmental ones, were enough to put him on the radar of conspiracy theorists who believe that the Antichrist will come from a lineage of powerful people. In the contemporary scenario, names like Emmanuel Macron and Elon Musk are the most recent to be cited in Antichrist theories. Macron, the president of France, with his active involvement in global issues and his ambitious political stance, has been seen by some as a figure with the potential to play a global leadership role, uniting nations. Musk, with his influence on technology, his visionary ideas, and the control his companies exercise over crucial areas of the world economy, is seen by some as a possible candidate for the role of a global leader who could control humanity through technological innovation. These names, over the centuries, reflect humanity's fear and fascination with the figure of the Antichrist, showing how powerful and influential leaders are often associated with this role in times of great uncertainty and global change. The Bible says, in 2 Thessalonians 2, "Then the wicked will be fully revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will kill with the breath of his mouth and destroy by the glorious manifestation of his coming." This verse is extremely powerful and loaded with prophetic meaning. It references a crucial moment in the future, where the great enemy of humanity, the Antichrist, will be exposed in its entirety. The figure that, until then, had deceived and dominated the nations, will finally be unmasked before the world. This event will be the culmination of a cycle of deceit, lies, and global seduction, where many will have been attracted by the power, promises, and charisma of the Antichrist. He, who will be seen as a savior leader, who will bring momentary peace and prosperity, will in fact have led the nations into false security. And it is at this point that the glorious manifestation of the coming of Christ will bring the truth to light. The breath of his mouth, an expression that symbolizes the absolute power of the word and divine authority, will instantly destroy the Antichrist and all who have allied with him. He who ruled by force, manipulation, and terror will be defeated not by military battles, but by the simple presence and power of the true King, Jesus Christ. Now, the question that intrigues us is, could any of these names I mentioned be the much-feared Antichrist? Is he a charismatic politician with diplomatic skills, like Emmanuel Macron, who, despite not being loved by many, stands out on the world stage? Or is it Jared Kushner, who, with his role as mediator in the Middle East, seems to fit the biblical description of the one who will forge a peace agreement between Israel and its enemies? What about Elon Musk, who, with his mastery over technology, has the power to control global communications, satellites, and, who knows, even the human mind through his futuristic innovations? And why not consider Donald Trump, an extremely polarizing figure, loved and hated at the same time, with an ego that borders on the outsized and an unquestionable global influence? He has been called the Chosen One, and his presence on the political and economic scene is so strong that we cannot ignore him. The truth is that the identity of the Antichrist is a mystery that, according to the scriptures, will be revealed at the right time. Until then, we can only conjecture. But what about you? Who do you think could be the Antichrist? Is it one of the ones I mentioned? Or is there another name that you believe better fits this prophetic description? Perhaps there is someone in the shadows, still unknown, waiting for the right moment to emerge on the global stage and take control? Leave your opinion in the comments. And who knows, if there is a good discussion, we could bring a part 2 of this topic, analyzing other possible candidates for the title of Antichrist. After all, this is a question that will always arouse curiosity and theories, and while the prophecy is not fulfilled, the debate continues. Don't forget to download our book, The Secret Behind Biblical Prophecies. There are already more than 500,000 copies sold, and we are at the last units, so don't waste time and enjoy. I guarantee that you will acquire a lot of knowledge after reading this sensational book. written with great care and love for all the subscribers of our channel, completely based on the Holy Bible. The link is in the first pinned comment.